Hi, I'm Ed Bolen with NBAA, and today we are thrilled to have the Chairman of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Chairman Sam Graves, with us. Sam, thanks for being part of this.
Thank you.
Sam, as many of you know, is General Aviation's all-time great champion on Capitol Hill. Sam wrote the first ever General Aviation title to the FAA Reauthorization bill that passed nearly unanimously last year. And now you are leading the charge on ATC modernization. And Mr. Chairman, you've been very strong and effective on Capitol Hill, getting the first $12.5 billion, an essential down payment on the system. Can you talk about that process and why it's so important that we do this and do it right?
Well, and I will say too, that's a down payment, as you pointed out. Yeah, we've still got about $19 billion to come up with to finish the process. But having said that, if there's only one good thing that comes out of what happened at DCA, it's going to be this modernization priority of getting our air traffic control up with the times. And we have an administration and a secretary that are very involved in this. They are pushing very hard to get this done. They want to have it done in 3.5 years, which is a very aggressive schedule, at least in terms of new radar, new telecommunications between the towers and the centers, and being able to do all of the ground surveillance stuff that they want to do. And they think they can do that within the $12.5 billion and in 3.5 years if we can do some permitting reform, which is very important in this process. And working with my colleague, Rick Larson, on the committee, who's a great partner in this whole process. He is committed as well to making sure that this is done right and done quickly, and we do have a very modern air traffic control system.
Yeah, one of the things that has struck me about this national imperative is that we've got the leadership across the board, White House, Secretary of Transportation, Congress, bipartisanship, and the entire industry, airlines, labor, airports, general aviation. So we've got a united front, we've got a clear mission, we've got funding, and we've got a deadline. Usually when all of those things align, we can do great things.
We're still operating with equipment in many cases that was designed, in the 60s or the 70s, and equipment that was built, in the 70s and 80s. And so it's very hard to find parts. It's very hard to keep the system going. And when we have failures or breakdowns in the process, it's just that much harder to get everything up and going again.
So let's focus for a second on air traffic control. So a lot of effort is being made to kind of surge the number of people coming in.
Yeah, and Secretary Duffy is he is really supercharging this process and the hiring of controllers. In fact, the FAA met their goal this year with 2,000 new controllers, and they're making an announcement right away too. They're going to increase the pay for student controllers 30%, which is going to help supercharge even more, getting more controllers in the pipeline and out there and deployed throughout the system. We're getting more and more controllers in there, taking the aptitude test and finding that, the perfect individuals, whoever that may be. It's a very stressful job, obviously, and you want the right people doing it. And so we're working through that process, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, one of the things, you are defined by general aviation. You are our industry's great champion. Is there anything we should be concerned about in business aviation, general aviation, as we move forward on modernization? We've got so many new technologies coming in, and we want to deploy those. We also have a national imperative to be safe and continue to keep getting safer.
The biggest thing, and it's not so much something to be concerned about, it's just, one of my goals is to make sure that the FAA is responsive to for lack of a better term, the customer, to the pilots and the companies out there that are operating in the airspace. And we want to make sure too that they follow the intent of Congress when it comes to FAA reauthorization, the things that we did within that bill, air traffic control, the things we did. We want to make sure that bureaucrats don't reinterpret what Congress intended in all of this legislation, and that's very important to us as members of Congress and to the community out there, the aviation community and the stakeholders. And so that's probably the biggest thing to watch, and we're providing some pretty aggressive oversight over the FAA in terms of implementing what we did in reauthorization, and it's just something to pay attention to, and I encourage all of my friends out there in aviation to let me know if there's a problem. And right now, interestingly enough, we're seeing a little bit of a problem when it comes to check pilots, when it comes to check rides, and the government system in terms of access and on the internet and access to, for those individuals, that's something that needs to be modernized. It's a classic government-run process that is antiquated, and we're losing some of those check airmen as a result.
Yeah, and it's very frustrating for someone going through getting their license or their ratings. You feel, I'm ready right now, and then you're told, well, we'll be able to provide you a check ride X number of days, weeks, or months in the future. And so you've got skills that are either going to atrophy or you're going to spend a lot of money trying to keep those skills so proficient that you can do the check ride before you move on. So I'm glad you're all over that issue, and certainly medicals are similar, so thank you for your great work on that. I want to touch a little bit, Mr. Chairman, you host what all of us refer to as the best little air show in the world in your hometown of Tarkio, Missouri, on an airstrip where your grandfather once had radio beacons. Talk a little bit about air shows. You host one, you perform in many of them. What do air shows do in terms of inspiring people and bringing people into aviation?
It highlights aviation more than anything else, and it also provides that opportunity for the industry to reach out to folks that may not necessarily understand aviation, particularly general aviation, and it also captures those young people. I always say we've got a captive audience when you have people coming to an air show. They're obviously interested in aircraft and in aviation, or they wouldn't be at the air show. And then you can grab those young people and get them excited about the industry, get them excited about wanting to get into a career, whether that's being a mechanic or a technician or a pilot or a flight instructor, whatever the case may be. It's the perfect opportunity to do that and to showcase it. And then it's a great opportunity, too, to showcase to people that may not understand the importance of an airport to a community. And that could be something that's way beyond just flying. It may be medical transport. It may be economic development. There's just a variety of things out there that airport provides for a community that most people don't realize in the community if they're not, directly attached to aviation. So I use air shows to promote the industry and to promote, aviation in general, and it's always the perfect venue.
Well, and at NBAA, we use our conventions, our conferences to shine a bright light and celebrate business aviation. You are always a leader. As long as I've known you, you've been showing up at NBAA-BACE and being a champion for our industry, and you do it all over the United States, all over the world. I want to thank you for being general aviation's great champion and our leader on Capitol Hill.
Thanks, Ed. I appreciate that. Thanks.